Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and before we get going, I wanted to show you, this is what you see when you look at my videos. I wanted to remind everybody that this entire video, if you want to watch it with no Google ads, no advertising at all, you can click right here and you can click the join button. It's the cost of a cup of coffee, basically nothing. And you can join, and we do extended videos with no Google ads, no nothing. You can, if you would prefer to join it through the Patreon, you just click down below the description here and go to DAIXRP.com if that's your thing. Let's get this started off right now that we have the case dropped.
XRP community, the SEC versus Ripple case is over. Now the path is clear, and the celebration at XRP Las Vegas 2025 just went 10x. And you need to be there May 30th and 31st at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Hear from White House Crypto Council members on stage, including Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Giancarlo. You'll also hear from Dr. Christopher Brummer from Blueprint. And one lucky builder developer will win a $25,000 prize for the best Web3 project idea. Go to the EZA app to register for your chance to win $25K. The excitement is building for XRP Las Vegas 2025, the world's largest XRP conference. Get your tickets now and lock in.
Reminder, this is the largest XRP conference in the world, largest builder developer conference for XRP in the world. And it is at XRPLasVegas.com the same week that they're going to have Bitcoin Las Vegas. So come on in, as Brad Com says. Go to XRPLasVegas.com. Check this out. Freddie Mac CEO, COO, and head of HR will all be fired today. This guy says housing crisis incoming. Someone knows something for the top 3 positions at Freddie Mac to be fired all at once. You know, I've been sitting around thinking that we were due for a housing crisis for a long time. I've never been able to understand why the market just keeps going up all this time. It doesn't make any sense. Look at this. Donald Trump put this out today. April 2nd is Liberation Day for America. For decades, we've been ripped off and abused by every nation in the world, both friend and foe. Now it's finally time for good old USA to get some of that money and respect back. God bless America. I can't argue with any of that. Today, the SEC Crypto Task Force will begin its first roundtable session to discuss key areas of interest in the regulation of crypto assets, 1 p.m. Eastern time. I'm assuming we're not going to be able to watch that, but they may do some kind of photo op. Now, in the last video, I told you about Watcher Guru's Twitter handle or X handle getting hacked, and it put out a message saying that Swift was going to adopt XRP or whatever, and that was all fake. The hacker put that out. But this is interesting. At the same time that they put that out, they also blocked Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse, I guess, so that they wouldn't be aware of it and wouldn't make the community aware that that was a scam going around. These people are sick, folks. Listen close. This is interesting. Brad Combs played this video and was talking about this. He's talking about XRP supply shock. And he's highlighted this quote: at some point, maybe we won't even be selling as much. We'll see how that plays out in the future. Yes, we will.
Conversation right here. Let's go to that right there.
I have one more question for you about Ripple and XRP in particular, on the supply and how it's managed and the unlocks. Is there anything you would do to change the amount of supply brought to market? Can you do that? How does that exactly work? Because there is a level of dilution for XRP when more supply is brought in on a regular basis.
So this is one of the things I'm glad you asked about, because there's frankly misinformation, sometimes disinformation, people spreading falsehoods out there. The amount of XRP that was created in 2012 when it was first started, that blockchain was first started, was 100 billion units. That can't be increased. It's slightly deflationary, and now there's about 99.9 billion units. Ripple owns about 42% of that supply. We have had, and for, I guess, 8 years, we published something called the XRP Markets Report, where we share how much we are introducing into the market, because we want that to be predictable. And that has been the case for many years now. And so we will continue to make sure that's very predictable. At some point, maybe we won't be selling as much. We'll see how that plays out in the future. But right now, frankly, we get criticized for owning too much, and then we're criticized for selling some. But we want to do that in a constructive way, which is what we've done for years.
This has been a long...
Now, what's interesting is that last little bit there, I want you to hear this part.
That blockchain was first started was 100 billion units. That can't be increased. It's slightly deflationary, and now there's about 99.9 billion units. Ripple owns about 42% of that supply. We have had, and for, I guess, 8 years, we published something called the XRP Markets Report, where we share how much we are introducing into the market, because we want that to be predictable. And that has been the case for many years now. And so we will continue to make sure that's very predictable. At some point, maybe we won't be selling as much. To make sure that's very predictable. At some point, maybe we won't be selling as much. We'll see how that plays out. To make sure that's very predictable. At some point, maybe we won't be selling as much. We'll see how that plays out in the future.
Yeah. And what would make you say that, Brad? Could the U.S. be working out a deal with Ripple to become the steward of that escrow? I don't know. Asking for a friend.
Brad Garlinghouse did say it'll be predictable. It'll be predictable. I wonder how it would be predictable. Oh, here's an interesting, folks. I know that there's been short-term pain because anytime you have big changes, the markets get freaked out over the tariffs and all that stuff. But what's coming, once these guys get through that period, you are going to have the biggest economic and crypto boom that the world has ever seen. Listen to what these guys are smart.
Our objective is to smash down the Internal Revenue Service and change America. And then imagine America. This is just an imagination moment, okay? We have a balanced budget in the United States. We're starting to knock down the deficit of America. We can cut tax. And we have a gold card, a Trump card that you can come to America. Which entrepreneur have you ever met who wouldn't buy one and wouldn't start building businesses when they think the tax rate here is going to come down and eventually it's going to come down to 20% and eventually it's going to come down to 15%? You won't be able to find a plot of land in America.
You know what I predict will happen? I predict just like in the medallion industry for taxi cabs, there'll be a financing industry that'll build up around these gold cards or these Trump cards. So that great entrepreneurs, great executives will be able to finance their purchase along with someone getting venture capital interest or equity interest in their business.
But we're going to take that money. We'll sell them every year.
Yeah.
Right? So they'll knock down our budget deficit. And then eventually, right? If Donald Trump is right and ultimately we can sell 7 million cards, you realize there is no debt in America. Right. No debt in America is $1 trillion a year in debt coverage. Right.
Okie dokie. Look at this. Crypto bull. XRP to $12 by April 18th. I'm all over that. Give me a $12 XRP. I dare you. Okay, this is interesting because it's talking about, this is Bo Hines from, what's his, I can't remember his title with the Trump administration, but words mean things. He does not say anything about selling the actual gold that the United States own. He talks about certificates, and words do mean things. This is on Eleanor Terrett's new show. Listen to this.
And I didn't get to ask it, but I'm going to ask you now. You've mentioned, and I'm sure you've had this question before, budget neutral ways to potentially buy Bitcoin down the line. you give me an example of a budget neutral way you may be thinking of?
I mean, there's a lot of high IQ people working on this, and I will give you an example, but I say that only to say that there's been countless ideas over the course of the last week or so, and in a sense of how we can actually accomplish
There it is, Executive Director, U.S. Crypto Council.
this. I'll actually point you to Senator Lummis's Bitcoin Act of 2025, in which she believes that we can identify the real true value of some of these gold certificates that are, basically, I think it's like $172 an ounce is what they're categorized at right now. And if we actually realize
Okay, so they're addressing what's questionable in the gold market. Now that's different. That's a totally different can of tomatoes than selling the real physical gold of the U.S. That's not happening.
gains on that would be a budget neutral way to acquire more Bitcoin. I mean, there's countless different ways you can do it. I know the Secretary of Treasury, Bessent, and the Secretary of Commerce with Howard Lutnick. I mean, they're going to come up with, these are smart people that understand this space really well. And as we convene as a working group, we'll flesh out the best ideas and we'll enact those ideas.
Gold. Theoretically, could you sell some of the gold in Fort Knox to buy Bitcoin? Can we? Is that possible?
Well, if it's budget neutral and doesn't cost the taxpayer a dime,
you're kind of exchanging one for the other.
We'll see whatever creative ideas that we can come up with. And, like I said.
See, he won't go there. He's not going to talk about the physical, real gold being sold. He's not going to get
with all
that.
the interagency working group actors that will convene in these meetings. I mean, we're going to hear some tremendous ideas about how we could do it. I just don't want to box us in yet to what that actually looks like, because I want to be able to hear from everybody. And I think that's one thing that's different about this White House is we welcome in new ideas, innovative solutions, and it's no different the way that we're running our office.
Love it.
Okay, we're going to go into DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. And remember, you can either go through the Patreon or you can click below this video, click the join button. If you're tired of seeing advertisements and you want extra content, that's the way to go. Okay, and we're going to touch a little more on this gold issue. And then we're also going to do two other things in there. One is show more of a Ripple case update. And the other is we're going to talk about, and this is directly from the people at Ripple, what this digital asset stockpile is going to translate into in terms of corporate treasuries. That's very interesting stuff. There's a cascading effect that's about to happen. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Away we go.